Lalita loka, Janaya Karuna Kanakanatvam, Praktasha Karuna Kunanavasha, Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinam, Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita, Fadrita Madhya Manasarasena, Romanchakam Pasrutaranga Bhajo, Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinam, Sivigrahara Dhammadhijanana, Vingarata Mandira Majanara, Yuktasha Bhaktam Chanduyuktayogi, Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinam, Chaturvidasi Bhagavad Prasadam, Sasanachita Nari Bhakta Sangam, Srimeva Kriptena Jatakadaiva, Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinam, Sri Radhika Madhavaya Rapara, Madhuya Lila Gunarupanamam, Prabdhichana Swadana Lalapasha, Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinam, Sri Kunjayuna Rati Kelisi Jai, Jaya Libi Yukira Pechaniya, Tatati Daksha Tati Balavasha, Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinam, Satyataritena Samastashaste, Uktatata Bhavyasa Eva Chadi, Kintu Prabhuya Priya Eva Tasya, Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinam, Yasya Prasada Bhagavad Prasada, Yasya Prasada Nakakititopi, Jayam Suvam Sajaya Sakti Samyam, Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinam, Srimatulura Sakameta Dusya, Same Murte Patati Payatma, Yasena Vrindavana Natasya, Devalya Labhya Jamusunareva, Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinam, Vande Guru Sri Charanaravinam, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, Jivedoya Gauri, Svabhashada Sriyadama, Sahavatari, Ajanta Dulaba Prema, Pariparidana, Chikaya Charadakati, Bakatera Prana, Jaya Atmani Veda Jnanam Jnana Salakaya Sakshu Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Bhavanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gora Tuse Namaha. Reading from Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Adikanda, Chapter 13, Sri Nimai defeats the Digvijaya. This Brahmana has become extremely arrogant, and he thinks that there is no one in this world to defeat him, thought the Lord. If I humble him in front of everyone, it will be like a shameful death for him. People will dishonor him, he will lose everything, and eventually he will die from humiliation. Therefore I must confront him secretly. Excuse me. Therefore I must confront him secretly in a solitary place, and yet ensure his downfall. In that way I can eclipse his vanity without destroying him. While the Supreme Lord was thinking in this manner, the Digvijaya arrived at the Ganga. As dusk faded into night, the river Ganga looked radiant beneath the full moon in the soft clear sky. The Supreme Lord was effulgent in the midst of his students, and his exquisite beauty captivated the entire creation. A sweet smile decorated the glowing moon-like face of the Lord, and his two beautiful eyes showered transcendently merciful glances. Pearls are lackluster in comparison with his teeth, and his radiant lips are easily mistaken for the rising sun. With his soft and delicate body, he is the personification of compassion. His perfect head is covered with raven black curls. His graceful lion-like neck rested perfectly on his beautiful broad shoulders. He was dressed in divinely exquisite clothes. His perfectly proportioned body was large, and his heart was ruled by his munificent nature. The Brahmana thread, hanging loosely across his shoulders, was the bow of Anantasesha. His long arms extended gracefully to his knees, and the Urdhva Pundra Tilak decorating his white forehead enraptured the hearts of everyone. With his dhoti tied elegantly at his waist, Sri Gauranga sat in the cross-legged posture of a yogi, establishing and refuting various arguments in his usual manner of discourse. Many students had gathered around Mahaprabhu that evening, and the Digvijaya Pandit was astonished to see the wonderful assembly. Is this Nimai Pandit, he thought? Unseen by anyone, he stood spellbound by the Lord's extraordinary beauty. Who is this person? He inquired from one of the students. This is the famous Nimai Pandit, replied the student. After offering his obeisances to the Ganga, the Digvijaya moved a little closer to the Lord. Upon noticing him, Nimai smiled at him and affectionately offered him a seat. Having already conquered all the scholars in the land, the Digvijaya Pandit was naturally fearless, yet in the presence of the Lord he was filled with awe. By the design of the omnipotent Supreme Lord, whosoever approaches him in a challenging mood will feel both awe and fear. The Lord exchanged introductory words with the Pandit and then asked him a few questions. "You are an extremely versatile poet," said the Lord. "There is no subject which you cannot perfectly describe. Therefore, please, elucidate the wonderful glories of the Holy Ganga, so that whoever hears your glorification will be freed from sin." At that very instant, Digvijaya Pandit began to extemporarily compose and recite unparalleled verses in praise of the holy river. Who can imagine the countless ways in which he described Mother Ganga? Verses swiftly passed his lips, and his voice resounded like a continuous roll of thunder. It certainly seemed that Mother Saraswati herself had appeared on the tip of his tongue. Whatever he uttered was apparently precisely appropriate. Was it humanly possible to find a mistake in his eloquent compositions? There seemed to be no one present who could even properly follow them. Nimai's hundreds of students who had assembled there stared at the Pundit with mouth agape. "O Lord Rama," they said, "how wonderful! Is it possible for a human to compose such eloquent poetry?" His composition was profusely ornamented with the most exceptional figures of speech, applied most appropriately. His word usage perplexed even the scholars who were present. For 3 hours the Digvijaya continually composed and recited his unparalleled verses. There seemed to be no end to his brilliant oration. When at last he finished, the Lord smiled sweetly and said, "Your poetry was so exceptional that no one can understand the meaning unless you yourself explain it. The verses you have composed are certainly appropriate for glorification of the Ganga, but we entreat you to analyze them for us." The Lord's sweet words affected him like an intoxicating beverage, and he began to explain his verses. However, as soon as he started to speak, the Lord interpreted him to point out 3 mistakes, one in the beginning, one in the middle, and one towards the end of his composition. The Lord said, "According to grammar, the figures of speech you have used show numerous imperfections. Please tell us in what context you have used them." The Digvijaya Pandit, foremost of the favorite sons of Mother Saraswati, lost his intelligence. He tried, but failed to offer proper explanations for the mistakes that Nimai had pointed out. His feeble and confused attempts to defend his composition brought further criticism from the Lord, who then elucidated the flaws in the explanations as well as the verses. The Pundit's unparalleled talent seemed to have vanished, and the situation grew incomprehensible to him. He seemed to have forgotten even his own identity. Lord Nimai then said, "Leave this poem aside for now and compose another one." Nevertheless, alas, the great world-conquering Pandit was now unable to compose even a single verse. He sat before the Lord in a state of total bewilderment. Of course, even the Vedas personified have become perplexed in the presence of the Lord. Powerful personalities like Ananta Sage, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva, who can each create universes by their mere glance, have also been deluded by the Lord's presence. The bewilderment of the Digvijaya Pandit in front of Nimai is not surprising, because even Mother Lakshmi, Mother Saraswati and Maya, the internal potencies of the Lord, which can delude the entire creation, become themselves deluded before the Supreme Lord, and thus remain forever in an inferior position. The reciter of the Vedas, Lord Sesha, and the compiler of the Vedas, Sri Veda Vyas, are even bewildered in the presence of the Lord, what to speak of a mere Digvijaya Pandit. The accomplishments of the Lord are impossible for any human to match. Therefore I say, all of his activities are extraordinary. Moreover, whatever the Supreme Lord does is always for the ultimate benefit of the suffering living entities, to release them from material bondage. While the Digvijaya Pandit was struggling to swallow his ignominious defeat, the students began to laugh and giggle excitedly. The Lord immediately stopped them and spoke soft, soothing words to the Pandit. Today, let us stop here. Please return to your home, and tomorrow we can continue our discussion. You must be tired after composing such a lengthy recitation. Also, it is very late now. Soon it will be time to sleep. The Lord's behavior was so gentle and compassionate that even a defeated person did not suffer in humiliation. Although the Lord was always victorious in his debates, nevertheless he always spoke words of concern for the scholars and teachers of Navadvip. Again to the Digvijaya Pandit he said, "Please go home now and study your books. Tomorrow I will ask you questions and you must try to answer them." The Lord was so merciful that despite his victory, he did not dishonor the great scholar. Hence, everyone felt pleased. The scholars and teachers of Navadvip were very affectionate towards the Lord because of his sweet disposition. The Lord and his students left the assembly to go home, but the Digvijaya sat alone in utter shame and dejection. He thought to himself, "Mother Saraswati herself has given me this boon. I have not come across anyone in the whole world who would dare confront me in a debate. Neither the expert scholars in the 6 philosophical branches of Nyaya, Vaiseshika, Sankhya, Patanjali, Mimamsa or Vedanta, nor the scholars of Shastra would dare contest my authority. How is it that the Lord has allowed this insignificant teacher of grammar to children to defeat me in this manner? Seeing the power of Mother Saraswati undermined in this way causes me equal consternation. How have I offended the goddess that all my talent and knowledge were discharged in this humiliating defeat? I must try to determine the cause of this situation." Thinking thus, he chanted his mantra for some time and then lay down to sleep at his place. In his dream, Mother Saraswati looked compassionately upon the Brahmana and spoke confidentially to him. "O learned Brahmana, listen to me. I will now reveal to you that knowledge which is undisclosed even in the Vedas. If for any reason you reveal this secret to anyone, you will immediately forfeit your body. The person who defeated you today is actually the Supreme Lord of the entire cosmic manifestation. I am an eternal servant of his lotus feet, and out of shyness I hesitate to stand before him." In the Srimad Bhagavatam it is mentioned, "Being ashamed of her position, the illusory energy of the Lord cannot take precedence, but those who are bewildered by her continually talk nonsense, being absorbed in thoughts of It is I and it is mine. In the Lord's presence, it was impossible for me to appear upon the top of your tongue, as I have in the past. I lost my potency, but that is not my fault. How could it be otherwise? Even Lord Anantashesha, who recites the Vedas with his thousands of mouths, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and all the other demigods worship him and are totally bewildered in his presence. What to speak of me? He is the supreme absolute truth, eternal, pure, indivisible, and infallible. He is the omnipotent Supreme Lord, residing in everyone's heart as the Supersoul. The person who appeared before you as a young Brahmana boy is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate cause of destruction of the entire cosmic manifestation. He is the cause of the dualities, fruitive action, knowledge, learning, good and bad, manifest and unmanifest, everything. It is by his desire that all living entities, from Lord Brahma downwards, experience happiness and distress. He is the supreme source of all incarnations, like Matsya, Kurma, and others. It is he who appeared as Lord Varaha to lift the world, and again as Nishingadev to protect his devotee Prahlad. He appeared again as Lord Bhavana to trick Bali Maharaj, and thus his lotus feet became the source of Mother Ganga. He appeared in Ayodhya as Lord Ramachandra and performed many wonderful pastimes, ultimately killing the demon Ravana. He who is known as the son of Sri Vasudeva and Sri Nanda Maharaj has now appeared as a young Brahmana, immersed in the mallows of a scholar. Where in the Vedas is this incarnation of the Supreme Lord openly revealed? Who will perceive this truth if the Lord himself does not reveal his inner identity? To become the greatest of all the scholars in the world is not the real result of chanting the mantra I gave you. You have now received the factual results. You were able to see in person the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord of the entire cosmic creation. O Brahmana, go quickly to him and take the shelter of his lotus feet. Surrender yourself completely to him. Do not imagine my advice to be a dream or hallucination. The power behind the mantra you chant has brought me here and forced me to reveal the most esoteric knowledge of the Vedas. Mother Saraswati disappeared after consoling the Pandit. He awoke from his sleep, feeling purified and fortunate. Early dawn has just touched the eastern sky when he left for the Lord's house. He threw himself at the feet of Nimai Pandit to offer his obeisances, and the Lord reciprocated by lifting him up and embracing him. Why, it is you, said the Lord. Why are you behaving in this manner? So that I may attract your kind grace, replied the Pandit. Ja, Sisi Guru Koranga Sundar Radha Kiridara. He awoke from his sleep, feeling, so that I may attract your kind grace, replied the Pandit. Yet, you are the famous and erudite Digvijaya scholar. Why do you approach me like this? Questioned the Lord. O Lord of the most learned Brahmanas, please hear me. The highest perfection in all activities is achieved simply by worshipping you. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan. You have appeared as a Brahmana in this age of Kali, but no one has the potency to perceive your real identity. Confusion entered my heart the very moment you asked me questions, and I found myself silent. Now I have the personal realization that you are magnanimous and free from all pride, and my realization is in accordance with the verdict of all Vedic scriptures. You defeated me 3 times, yet you kept my honor intact. Is such behavior possible for anyone other than the Supreme Lord? I am convinced that you are that Supreme Personality of Godhead. I have traveled far and wide, Goda, Trihuta, Kashi, Kucharata, Vijayvanam, Vijay, Janakara, Anga, Banga, Tailanga, Otra, and many other places. In each place, the most qualified scholars were easily defeated by me. They could not even understand my discourses, let alone find fault with them. However, in your presence, all my education and intellect seemed to flee. I know not where. I now realize that this was not an extraordinary feat for you, because you are the Lord and Master of Mother Saraswati. Saraswati has personally revealed this to me. Okay, I stop for today. Jai Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Ki Jai. Adikanda chapter 13. Nimai defeats the Digvijaya Ki Jai. Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai. Sriman Sarvabhavana Das Ki Jai. Jai Sri Gurudev. Hariyadaya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namah Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinath Madhama Moham Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Gadadara Sivasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Jaya Rupa Sanatam Bhattara Kuna Sri Jiva Om Vishnupad Sila Bhakti Nimalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Sri Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Om Vishnupad Sila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Vishnupad Sila Bhakti Rakakshira Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavan Sila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Sri Rupanuga Gurvaga Ki Jai. Namacharya Sila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Sabashara Sri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Sabashara Sri Mama Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Kamaya Munichu Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Ki Jai. Sri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Sri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat East London Chapter Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat West London Chapter Ki Jai. Samadvaita Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Samadvaita Vaishnava Mandala Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Pramanande Hari Hari Gaur.